Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to be with you tonight. My name is Brittany Ramos de Barros. I'm based in New York City, and I am the director of About Face Veterans Against the War. We are a grassroots membership-based organization of post 9/11 military members and veterans across the country fighting against U.S. military aggression abroad, but also here at home in our own cities, as so many of us are seeing right now. This is such a critical time to come together. And, I am someone who joined the military believing that I was going to fight for freedom and democracy and many of the values that many of us are raised believing are fundamental values that America holds dear. And yet, what I saw is that I deployed to a war that I came to realize was fundamentally unjust, was doing nothing but harm, and spending our tax dollars while people in my own communities were struggling to feed their families, to have the basic labor rights that they need in order to live a good life. And it became clear to me that we had a lot of work to do and that I had a responsibility as a member of the military and a veteran to speak out. About Face changed my life. I spoke out while I was still a captain in the Army. I was put under investigation and threatened with court martial simply for uplifting publicly available facts about what our military is doing. And we're coming together in this moment because there are thousands and thousands of people in the military right now who are being asked to turn against their own communities, who are being asked to betray the very fundamental values and freedoms and rights that many of them believed that they were going to fight for when they signed up. And we know that as veterans and military members, we're not separate from our communities. We're not separate from the labor fights and organizations. We're not separate from the immigrant communities that make our communities powerful and diverse. And so here is a really important moment for us to show that unity and that power together. And so we're going to get more into it. You're going to hear from people organizing all across the country and the actions that we have planned to take action this Veterans Day. The reality is that we're seeing our neighbors kidnapped off the street with no due process, a complete disregard for the rule of law, and the basic rights that we hold dear. And we cannot allow this Veterans Day to be business as usual. We cannot allow it to be a day of breakfasts and parades with no acknowledgement of the threats that the very foundations of our democracy are facing right now, the threats that our communities are facing. And so we have an opportunity to really stand up against that. And we are so excited to partner with Mayday Strong. I know Mayday Strong is strong in the house. And so before much more ado, I want to pass it to Jackson Potter to share a little bit more about why Mayday Strong has decided to throw down on these Veterans Day actions alongside us.
Thanks so much, Brittany. For the team that brought you Mayday Strong and turned out over 1,000 actions in all 50 states on both May Day and Labor Day, we are proud to be partnering with About Face, Common Defense, Union Veterans to bring you Vet Say No. So go to vetsayno.org, sign up to either lead an action or join one that's already planned, because we're all clear that the billionaires are joining forces with the authoritarians. They're in team evil together to cut SNAP benefits for 16 million hungry children, to cut their own already too low taxes while funding ICE, which has become the 13th largest military in the world. And if to only add insult to injury, our own tax dollars are being used to tear gas children, to zip tie grandmas, and to degrade our democracy. That is why it's so important to honor the warriors and not the war. If you go to vetsayno.org, you'll see occupied cities across the country, and those threatened with National Guard deployments are banding together and demanding that the needs of the people are met, not the military industrial complex, demanding that we tax the rich instead of oppressing the majority. And we are going to be loud and proud at Mayday Strong with our partners on November 8th town halls to defend the VA and the services that our union sisters and brothers and siblings provide, and on November 11th on Veterans Day to march and engage in speakouts. And this is all part, Brittany, of what we need to grow our resistance. It's an honor to be on the call with you tonight.
The honor is really mine. Thank you, Jackson. I know that we are so powerful together, and I'm really excited about what we can accomplish together. So let's see it. You're going to see the vetsayno.org link in the chat. You can take a moment now to open that up in your browser, um, and take a look. See if there is an action in a city that's driving distance to you. And we are asking people to do what you need to do to make an effort to show up, because this is a really important moment for us to not allow Veterans Day to be a day where the administration is allowed to kind of claim business as usual and distract us from the reality of the very um, unfair position that many military members are being put in, right? We're seeing our civil, human, immigration, labor rights be stripped. And we have a situation where active military members are being asked to mobilize against their own communities in ways that are often unjust, immoral, and in many cases illegal. And we want this to be a moment where we let people know that if they stand up and do the right thing, like generations of people in the military have had the courage to do in the past, that there is a whole wide, powerful movement behind them to have their back in this time. So let's see it in the chat. If you will sign up to attend one of these protests alongside us, put a note about that in the chat so we can see who is already bought in and ready to throw down. Amazing. I see yes from Chicago. Signed up. I'm ready. Count me in. Greensboro, North Carolina. Love it. Amazing. And there are going to be other ways that we're going to share that you can get plugged in around the around this campaign. Um, so if you can't make it on that day, don't worry. There will be other ways to plug in, and we'll get you connected as the call goes forward. All right. In the meantime, it is truly an honor to hand the mic over to Aaron Hughes, who is a longtime organizer and leader in About Face and in Chicago, who really was helping to plan the Chicago event that led to this whole idea. So, Aaron, take it away and share a little bit about why Chicago started this in the first place.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you so much. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you to the Mayday Coalition. It's an honor to get to partner with our union brothers and sisters and build this coalition stronger. My name's Aaron Hughes. I'm a member of About Face Veterans Against the War. I served in the Illinois Army National Guard from 2000 to 2006. I deployed to Kuwait and Iraq 2003, 2004. And if that deployment taught me anything, it taught me that occupations are wrong. It taught me that occupations do not build democracies. And occupations are wrong in Iraq, they're wrong in Palestine, and they are wrong in our cities. They are wrong in Chicago, they're wrong in LA, in Portland, in Memphis, and we, as veterans and service members, we know that. And we have a role to play in standing up and saying no ICE, no cuts, and no occupation. And that's what we're coming together to say with all of our friends and our allies at the unions. And you know, it's important that we know right now that service members are being asked to deploy. They're questioning these orders. And they're saying this isn't what we signed up for. They're saying we won't comply with these illegal, immoral, unjust Trump orders. And we want them to know that they're not alone, that they have options and that they have rights. And that is why About Face, we have this encrypted communication code that they can reach out to us. We want them to know about the GI Rights Hotline, that they can reach out to the GI Rights Hotline to learn about their rights and options, that they can know about the Military Law Task Force, and that they're there to support them in their legal needs. And we, as a movement, want them to know that they're not alone, that we're going to show up for them. And that's why we're asking people to join us on Veterans Day to say no to ICE, no to the cuts, and no to occupation. And, we'll be out there with our union allies, just like we've been. About Face Veterans Against the War, we've been out there with our union allies at the VA as Trump has continuously attacked the VAs, doing them some of the biggest union bustings in history. And those are our family. That's our community. That's our care. That they're literally undermining. And what Trump doesn't realize is when he goes after one of us, he goes after all of us. And that is why we're coming together, we're uniting, and we're marching on Veterans Day to say no to ICE, no to the attacks. We've been out there at Broadview. We've been out there protesting against these ICE occupation of our city. We've been working in our communities to protest and react to their brutal attacks on our families and our communities. We've supported the local efforts to help kids get safely to school. I mean, everyone in this community is involved. And now we need veterans across this city and across this community and our allies to come out on Veterans Day and say no to ICE, no to the cuts, and no to occupation. And so we hope you can join us.
Thank you, Aaron. Now we're going to hear from Jayani Webster, who is a core member of the Free the 901 campaign and one of our key partners organizing in Memphis, as Memphis is now also experiencing an occupation and going to be one of the core places where we're having an action. Jayani, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Brittany, and good evening, everyone. My name is Jayani. I'm here in Memphis, Tennessee with the Free the 901 campaign. I just want to paint a bit of a picture of what's happening here in Memphis, right? We are one of the southern cities that has always experienced some of the most kind of violent and backwards policies and political leadership in this country. And we continue to get the short end of the stick when it comes to these fights around protecting democracy and protecting the basic social good for everyone in our community. So our leadership in Memphis essentially has been collaborating with this regime to bring agents to the city under the guise of crime. And we know that it is not about that. We know that it is about occupying our communities. We know that it's about threatening democracy and setting us up for a future where we will not have the basic rights and the freedoms that our ancestors and that our forebears fought so hard for. And so I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing 22 organizations in a campaign that is constantly growing and trying to figure out how we can protect our communities at the same time that we fight off this threat of authoritarianism. What we know right now, right, is that even before the National Guard got deployed in Memphis, they sent 700 agents to the city, 19 different agencies. A task force was assembled, and we have the FBI here, ICE here, the DEA here, and countless other agencies that prime the ground for the National Guard to come in and collaborate with them and continue to wreak havoc in our communities. And so we're here to stand in solidarity with our sister cities across the country, Chicago, DC, LA, continuing in this fight, right? Portland, to actually build a national resistance against what is happening. And we have about 150 National Guardsmen here, but our governors authorized to send up to 1,000 National Guardsmen here. And so we know that their plan is to escalate. We know that their plan is to make things worse. We already have families who are scared to drive their children to school for fear that they're going to get picked up and detained. We just had one of our tenant leaders in a local organization called Memphis Tenants Union picked up on a years-old warrant for having an argument in a parking lot. And she had to spend the night in jail. And because her warrant was so old, they wouldn't accept the money for her bail. This is the reality of what we're having to face in our communities. A tenant leader that just got done working in different apartment complexes over the weekend to bring housing justice and tenant rights to Memphis communities was picked up on an old warrant just the next day. And so what we are realizing, right, is that this is not about safety. This is not about addressing crime. This is about a dictatorship. This is about trying to police and over-police our communities. And we know that Memphis is a majority Black city. And so it's not a surprise, right, that some of this experiment by the far right is reaching so deeply into our communities. And so we are excited and we are relieved to be working with our anti-war veteran groups. About Face and other organizations are supporting us here on the ground to support veterans to organize, to counter-organize against what is happening in our communities. We know that, right, that if we do not organize, the folks who are being asked, right, to implement orders and comply with orders that are against democracy, that are actually moving us in the wrong direction, then we're not going to be able to win this fight. And it's going to take more than just one organization. But we really want to make sure that we're strong on November 11th for Veterans Day. We're going to have our groups out rallying and supporting this resistance in all of its forms. And so we're excited to be on this call. We're excited to represent the work that's happening in Memphis. And we will see you all on November 11th in Memphis and across the country in support of democracy, against authoritarianism, against these cuts, and for a brighter future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayani. I know you do incredible organizing work on the ground in Memphis. And, you know, as someone from the South, it is always very important to me that we're clear that some of our most powerful resistance has always come from the South, and that we not forget and only focus on cities like Chicago and Portland, while many of our, especially predominantly Black cities in the South, are directly under attack like this. So thank you. Without any further ado, I want to introduce you to another organization. We found out that another organization called Common Defense was hosting veteran town halls. And, you know, we said, let's connect our issues because we know the issues of life-saving cuts to the benefits our communities depend on, both veteran communities and our broader communities, are not separate from saying no war on our cities, right? We know that the struggle against those cuts is the same struggle against these ICE occupations and military occupations and attacks on our communities. And so I'm really honored to introduce Tarek Smith from Common Defense, who's going to share a little bit about their November 8th veteran town halls that they're organizing.
Thank you so much, Brittany, and thank you to everybody on tonight's call that helped put this together and is joining us tonight. Hey, y'all, my name is Tarek Smith. As Brittany said, I'm the Deputy Organizing Director for Common Defense. I'm based in North Carolina, but we are a national grassroots organization of veterans and military family members fighting back against the rising tide of racism, hate, violence, and oppression being pushed by the authoritarian forces in our country. It's all hands on deck right now, and we at Common Defense are so thankful to be part of this coalition and again be joined by everyone on this call because we need all the veteran and military family voices that we can get as the tip of the spear, showing the Trump administration that they don't own patriotism, they don't own service, despite their best efforts, they don't own the First Amendment, and we need that because across Veterans Day and Veterans Day weekend, we know that Trump and his enablers will do what they always do. They will use our troops and our flag as props in their effort to instill fear in the hearts of our most vulnerable people and drive a wedge between our neighbors. We're not going to let them do that. That's why we are so excited to be hosting these town hall events all across the country. We have them in Georgia, in California, in Pennsylvania, Texas, Arizona, North Carolina, everywhere in between. And if there's one in your area that you don't see your area listed, sign up on the website vetssayno.org to host your own, and we will get you squared away. Because we want to show folks that communities all across the country are standing up for their neighbors, and they're not going to allow the Trump administration to get away with all the cuts, with the war on our streets, and with the fear that they're trying to instill in every single one of us. We at Common Defense last May, or this previous May, we mobilized hundreds of veterans around the country share their stories about accessing care at the VA and pushing back against the cuts that the Trump-Vance administration was pursuing. We spoke with every member of the Veteran Affairs Committee in DC. We spoke with the Secretary of Veteran Affairs. We were chasing folks down, getting them on the record to oppose or support the cuts. they announced shortly after that they were reducing their proposed cuts from 83,000 jobs cut from the Veteran Affairs Administration to 30,000. That's still way, way too many. But the only reason that they reduced that cut was because we were activating veterans and military family members, like the people on this call, to share their stories. And that's what we're looking for here in a couple of weeks on Veterans Day and Veterans Day weekend, so that they can hear all of your stories and we can show them that we are not in this alone, and that the people that are the targets of their fire are not in this alone, and we're not going to let them be.
Thank you so much, Tarek. So there you have it. You have two options now. It's all on the vetsayno.org website. You can click the link to see where the town halls on Saturday, November 8th are happening, and tune in to one near you or offer to host one. And you can check out the cities for the actions that we're doing on November 11th in Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, Portland, Los Angeles, Memphis, and so many more. There's a link under there as well. If you want to host a solidarity event, we need you. Let's make this a nationwide, powerful day of action where we say no war on our cities. As we heard from Jayani, this is not just about the immediate occupation of military. This is very, very much about the normalization of military in our streets. Right. And I know that this is a time where it's easy to fall into this sense of paralysis or despair because things are bad. Right. We're seeing attacks on our communities that are scary, they're horrifying. But let me tell you, I have learned a sense of hopeful determination and militancy from my labor comrades. And that's why I'm so excited that we're coming together across veteran organizing, across labor, across community organizations to say no war on our cities. And folks hope, the folks that are mobilizing the ICE and military in our communities hope that we'll just get used to seeing the National Guard picking up trash in the park, that we'll see them casually standing on the corner, and that will allow that to become a sense of normalcy. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I know if they think that I'm going to allow that to be normalized in my community, they have the wrong one. And if that's you, if you also are fired up and ready to fight back against the normalization of this, put it in the chat. Say they got the wrong one, because I want to see if you're with me. Because I think that we have to come together and lift each other up in hopefulness, right? We can't allow ourselves to slide into despair, because that is very much what our opponents want. That's exactly what they want in our community. All right, beautiful. All right, so we're fired up here, and without any further ado, I am so honored to pass it to several of our labor comrades who have been organizing important fights on the ground all across the country as well. And so we're going to start with Nick Pojacek, who is an Air Force veteran himself and a member of SEIU, to share about the work that he has been doing in Chicago. Nick, take it away.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name's Nick. I am an Air Force veteran, an SCI union member, and I am a federal employee as well. I live here at Chicago and have been receiving my health care at a Chicago area-based VA for 7 years. And like a huge part of my current success and where I'm at in life due to the VA, but more importantly, the staff at the VA, right? Because they're the ones who provide the services. So just really quickly, I'm in recovery. I struggled very hard after leaving Air Force active duty for 4 years, found my way into substance use, depression, and homelessness. And, I was on SNAP benefits for some time. I was on a housing voucher for some time, and receiving just like really outstanding medical and mental health care at the VA. And these things are all what's under attack right now. And without any one of these particular things, I would have been not able to do what I am today. I was able to use those things to get back on my feet. There's veterans concerned about accessing their school benefits right now. There's veterans asking if they're going to be homeless or if their favorite provider is going to leave the VA. And all of these other things are going on. Right. I did not go to a doctor's appointment because ICE is on campus at one of our VAs using some parking spots there. I am an American citizen, but I was not born in the United States. So the potential future of my citizenship is especially at risk. Right. Veterans are also all of these same things: federal employees, union members, immigrants, students, healthcare workers, all the things that are under attack for what I consider no good reason. Right. And I think, I've been showing up to town halls with my union. I joined the No Kings protest. The About Face veterans against the war have been extremely welcoming. I could only wish that I had been able to know about and kind of join in their efforts sooner, right? And I think showing up is important because even if our current government and its self-serving administration fail you, we want to let veterans know that your communities will not, right? We are not going to leave each other behind, and we're not going to leave the communities that we share with behind either. So that's my speech. Thanks for your time. Keep up the good fight.
Thanks for all you're doing, Nick. And now I'm honored to pass it to Amy Potter, who's part of AFGE Local 789, also based in Chicago.
Hello. So my name's Amy Potter. I'm a social worker at the Department of Veteran Affairs. Nick and I work together. I'm also a union steward with AFGE and our acting treasurer, so a lot of different roles. And as federal workers, our options at this point include, building our unions, organizing and keeping each other safe. And as VA employees, we can't focus on the services we provide. We suffer equally with the rest of Americans because we understand the importance of the raising costs of healthcare for everyone and the devastating cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, healthcare, education, social services. These cuts not only impact our communities, but also the veterans we serve. Secretary Collins says that veterans' benefits are not impacted by the shutdown, but that's actually not true. I've heard from veterans that I work with that haven't received Social Security checks, or they receive notifications that there will be delays. Our veterans often live paycheck to paycheck like a lot of other workers and people. And the GI Bill hotline is currently closed, so the VA is failing to process and disperse normally scheduled education and housing benefits for veterans, including monthly stipends for dependents of 100% disabled veterans. The shutdown does impact VA services. A lot of our veterans access SNAP benefits. We work with a lot of homeless veterans who also access Medicaid and Medicare. And not only do they access the VA for healthcare, but sometimes they access the same community clinics that the rest of the American people do. So by justifying furloughs and getting rid of more VA employees, this administration can claim that the VA healthcare system is not functioning the way it needs to, and further justifying their ability to move towards community care, disbanding VA services. But we know that hospitals and clinics in the community are tapped out. So if you want veterans to access those same healthcare services, there's going to be these huge delays, just like they are for the rest of the population. So privatization in the VA means that veterans we've been trained to provide services for don't receive the high quality, individualized and manualized treatment that all of us have the expertise in. We work with veterans with combat trauma, military sexual trauma, and we have years of experience. I think we have to take a hard line in this moment in history to hold the line. We're not exempt as federal employees to support the communities that we serve, and Democrats have to hold the line because we've seen in this administration that when they cave in, nothing happens, and they continue to pad the pockets of billionaires, and it impacts our communities and the families that we serve too. So our mayor and private sector unions speak about a general labor strike to redress the control, power, hoarding of the billionaire class at the expense of the workers and middle class. And this unfortunately does not include federal workers because we don't have the right to strike against the United States or the DC government. And I'm not asserting that we do. Others do. And all of these attacks hurt veterans and hurt union workers. And we have to turn out for Veterans Day, including with those who served, and show our mass support for each other. We protect each other. We engage and collide, and we support and we stand up for our immigrant communities because we're all connected and stronger together. So Veterans Day is an opportunity to demonstrate these efforts and come together with labor, veterans, and immigrants, and the broader community in this country against the attacks for democracy. Show up, get involved, And you can help us continue to organize against this administration. So join us November 11th in Chicago for Veterans Day, 11 a.m. at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. We hope to see you there.
Thank you, Amy. And now we're going to go to the West Coast. I'm honored to introduce Nina Spar, who's a social worker, a veteran healthcare worker, a member of AFGE Local 2157, and with the Federal Unionists Network.
Hello. As you said, my name is Nina. I'm a social worker at the Portland VA in war-torn Portland, and feeling, as long as I'm not down at the ICE facility, feeling very safe. I honestly cannot tell you how anybody could possibly think that we need National Guard on our streets right now. And I don't know the frog, but I wish I did. And I hope to meet him soon. And yeah, I am a social worker. I'm a civilian. I've worked at the VA for a number of years. My father was a VA employee before that. I work in the homeless program, and I do homeless outreach for veterans. So I have a very important job, and a job that I deeply love. And to see those programs be attacked, to see my coworkers quitting because they feel like they're under attack, and the morale is low. It's scary, and I've seen the homeless programs work well so many times over and over and over again. Um, to lose that is such a huge loss. And I'm scared about what they're going to do the longer they chip away at our services. I see veterans all the time getting sent out to get medical care out in the community. It takes twice as long to get services out in the community. It ends up costing everybody more. Um, and we really are here to serve and want to be here. And then so once this is all started, I joined the Federal Unionist Network. I'll be honest, I wasn't a big union person before all of this happened. I was a dues paying member, and I was very proud of that. And I didn't do much other than pay my dues. And now, as I'm watching all of us lose our rights, our labor rights, that's terrifying. Many people would argue you can't just take away everybody's bargaining rights. That's a federal employee. But when that happened anyways, it was a big wake up call that we're not playing in the real world anymore. We're playing it with a whole different set of rules. And so we need to fight to keep them, because they're not going to stop with federal employees. They're going to take away all of our union rights and bargaining rights, and then they're going to take everybody else's. Veterans make up a massive amount of federal employees as well. So veterans are being impacted by their services being cut at the hospitals and by their jobs being threatened by all these things. We have a ton of wildland firefighters that are veterans that are part of our Portland Fun team. And they're getting fired, they're getting let go, they're getting laid off, they're losing their union rights, and it's not right. They're out there, they served our country in the military, and now they're out there serving us and dealing with fires. And yeah, it's been a hard one. So I'm very excited to be able to do this event in Portland and across the country with About Face. I think the union of labor and federal labor itself and veterans is a very strong connection. And I want to, keep doing our work together. And I love my job so much, but I also see the moral injury that veterans have every single day at work. And I want to continue to be able to serve those veterans and provide them with the care that they deserve and that they fought for. So I'll put the Federal Unionist Network link in the chat. If you happen to be a federal employee, come join us. And if you are in Portland or anywhere near come hang out with the frogs and join us on Veterans Day and moving forward. We'll be excited to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nina. Okay, let's take a pause to see where we're at. If you are someone who is committing tonight, I can attend one of those 7 protests. So, Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, Portland, Memphis. If you can attend one of those, put attend in the chat and let's see where we're at. And feel free to put the location you're going to attend to so we can see. Amazing. I'm going to give you a second to do that. If you are someone who says, I'm not going to attend one of those 7 events, but I'm going to step up to host a solidarity event where I'm at, put solidarity in the chat. Amazing. We're going to have a great lineup of solidarity actions, it looks like. That's incredible. Let's make this coast to coast and our folks who are off the coasts. Okay, if you are someone who's going to take it even a step further and recruit at least 3 of your friends, make a direct invitation for at least 3 of your friends to join you at one of these protests or solidarity actions, put recruit in the chat. Amazing. This is how we get big. It takes all of us spreading the word. Sometimes it's easy to take for granted small things like posting the link on your social media or texting your friends and saying, hey, I'm going to this, but it makes all the difference. All right, without any further ado, we have a few more incredible speakers coming to us from different parts of the country. So next, we have Darren Jezik, who's a leader with Organized Power in Numbers in Phoenix, Arizona, and an Army veteran.
Hi, how y'all doing? I'm a little disorganized. I just got back from the doctor. I'm a veteran. I served between 72 and 75 in the Army. People want to take action, but they're terrified that they're going to lose what little they have. And I can understand that. But what they have to realize is if you don't stand up now, you might not have the chance to stand up later. This administration is totally out of control. And we need to work together. We need to get involved with every group that is out there in one way or another and get our friends and family involved as well. I know people are terrified that they're going to lose what little they have, but they don't realize they're losing it already. We need help. We need people. We need to fight back. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. You're absolutely right. And next, we're going to go to Craig Romanovich from Union Veterans of the AFL-CIO, who will speak about how cuts, especially SNAP right now, are impacting working people and veterans and why it's important for us to take a stand.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate the introduction. My name is Craig Romanovich. I am an Army veteran. I'm the Executive Director of the Union Veterans Council, a constituency group of the AFL-CIO. And this evening, I wanted to let you all know that, number one, we represent a significant portion of the working class veterans in the American labor movement. And our mission is to ensure that every hero is going to have access to good union jobs and a strong, fully funded VA. And we're not seeing that right now. And to be honest with you, we don't accept the rhetoric that's coming out of Congress right now. We hold these politicians right up the street from me right now. We hold their feet to the fire and what they're trying to promise to us. One of the issues that's going on right now, obviously, is the loss of the SNAP program and the Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act issues going on that can possibly affect many of our veteran population. So right now, over 600,000 veterans serve in the federal workforce. And with this government shutdown, we're seeing many of them. Fortunately, AFGE did win a court case today. I'll just preface that. But a lot of them have been put out of work. And once they go out of work, they're going to rely on the SNAP program. And it's an immediate critical defense against the food insecurity that they could potentially be facing. And these veterans are going to face the choice with their families between food, medicine, or rent. So now we're going to see an potential increase in the homelessness of our fellow veterans. This can't happen. So currently 1.2 millions live in a household that qualify and use SNAP. Estimates are that up to 1.4 million veterans of this country are eligible for food assistance. And these proposed cuts are threatening to strip this food assistance from disabled and low income veterans. And it's going to create a massive barrier for any of the furloughed federal veterans who suddenly are going to need that help with the SNAP program. And the impact on the ACA and Medicaid cuts, there's 1.6 million veterans that rely on Medicaid and ACA marketplace subsidies for critical care that the VA is not covering. When these subsidies are eliminated, it's going to lead to massive coverage losses and skyrocketing premiums, again, for those that served with us, before us, and after us. And for any veteran who loses their federal job and our federal employee health benefits, these subsidies are going to be the only bridge to continue them to have affordable health care. My ask on top of Brittany's and About Faces tonight is that starting tomorrow, you contact your member of Congress and you demand that they take action on these SNAP benefits and ACA subsidies and make sure that they're very well aware of the impact on the veteran community of this great nation. Thank you. Brittany, thank you for allowing me to be here and speak. I yield my time.
It's truly our honor to have you, Craig. So if you're going to take that action, if you're going to contact your member of Congress and demand that they stand up for these Medicaid rights, for SNAP benefits, et cetera, that are going to impact so many people, put demand in the chat so we can see that we're not alone taking action. There are going to be people across the country taking action together. And right now we have 1.2 thousand people on the call, which is incredible. If all of us take action, that is a big impact. And I know that also if we spread this opportunity to our friends, we can double, triple our impact over time. And I know that that is the power that we have together when we come together and refuse to be divided, refuse to be isolated. The time is now for us to really come together, and we're already doing it right now. And it's an honor to be with all of you. So we are almost done. If you haven't had a chance to check out the website or you joined us late, remember to go to vetsayno.org and you can find the links to sign up for all of these events. You can see where they are. You can sign up to host event. All of the things that you need for right now are there. And as we have more information, that's where we'll share it. And without any further ado, I'm going to go to two more About Face members who are organizing. One is Noah Joyce Anderson, who is organizing in Boston and will be helping to plan the Boston action. And the other is Zach Gonzalez, who is organizing all the way on the other coast in LA to talk about why fighting back matters and what they've been seeing on the ground. Noah, excited to pass it to you.
My name is Noah Joyce Anderson. I am an Army veteran. I served from 2010 to 2015. I joined to pay for school and ultimately studied and came to About Face because I studied military psychology and what it means not just to serve, but also to be on the receiving end of a militarized city or a militarized space. What we're seeing in Boston isn't as imminent a risk of our guard being deployed in our own cities or our cities being under siege in a way that we're seeing across the state or across the country, rather. What we're seeing is moms and dads seeing other people's kids watch their mothers and fathers be detained by unidentified agents. What war in Boston looks like is what Tom Holman promised months ago, which was to bring hell to Boston. I moved to Boston and made Massachusetts my home because I come from the South. I come from a place that felt unsafe. And so while we have, I think, an illusion of safety here, and we have been kept very safe in many ways, that safety is being barely held by a collection of wonderful coalitions, wonderful organizations, and things like multi-day vigils that have been going on now for 25, 26 weeks at the Burlington Field office, which in Massachusetts is our regional headquarters for ICE, and is not detained. It's not meant to detain people for any period of time. Yet people are being detained there, and the excuse that we're being given is that, well, they have showers and they have a couple of rooms there. So although Boston may not seem, I think, to people who are uh, feeling as though they are in relative safety. As someone who has studied moral injury and works in community mental health, I am watching my neighbors reasonably fear for their safety and the safety of those they love. It is important for all of us to stand in solidarity with each other, whether here at home or wherever you are, and wherever you call home. So I'm helping organize the event here in Boston, which we'll be having in the Fenway neighborhood at a World War II memorial. So some significance there in terms of fighting fascism um, at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. On the 11th. And we hope to see you there. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Zach. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. And I am Zach Gonzalez, and I am a member of About Face. I am in Los Angeles. I was born and raised here in LA County. And I served in the Air Force and the Air National Guard for almost 10 years. And it really took the first Trump administration and a tour in Afghanistan, actually working with munitions out there to show me what it really meant to be a service member and a veteran in this country, and how the military industrial complex is connected to everything. Here in Los Angeles is kind of was really like the first battleground, right? ICE was sent here and immediately started conducting very violent raids in our communities. Luckily, the community responded, and these rapid response networks formed very quickly, and were able to prevent a lot of harm. But obviously, we can't. We're not able to save everybody, but those efforts by the community really did do a lot of good and forced this administration's hands. Right, that is why the National Guard was mobilized here first, because the community made such a difference that ICE was simply not able to operate at the level that they wanted to. And seeing that deployment here really affected me both as a veteran and someone of Mexican heritage. So it's really like I'm right in the middle of both of those things, and it's very difficult to see that kind of violence here on the community. And I want to stress that it really is like, for myself as a veteran, seeing the way ICE operates is extremely militarized, both in the training and equipment. And the raid in Chicago, where the multi-story raid there, where they were like descending from Blackhawks. Yeah, it's all connected. And so as a veteran, I feel we must like speak out right now and say no to war in our cities. And that, to Brittany's point, like this can't be allowed to be considered normal, which is really what they're trying to do, and scatter their efforts across our country to overwhelm us and make us feel like there's nothing that we can do. But we know that when we show up in solidarity with each other and as communities, and really, say no to these kinds of things, that our actions are meaningful, and that we can stop the war machine. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach and Noah. It's so incredible to work alongside you and so many people on this call. If it has been meaningful for you tonight to hear the stories of people across the country who spoke tonight about the work that they're doing, please show them some love with your reactions or in the chat. This is a time where it's really difficult to lead. It's difficult to stay hopeful and to keep showing up and being ready to fight. So let's lift each other up in this moment, because as so many people have repeated, our true power is when we come together, right? I don't believe in my own ability to stand up to the growing authoritarianism that we see, but I believe that together we can turn the tide. Now, the reality is that it's going to take all of us to do that, right? Across difference, across the spectrum of diversities, of places, of political opinions in some cases. It's gonna take all of us, but I believe that we can do it. And it's going to take us being willing to step up and take more and more risk. That's the reality of the time that we're in. And that's scary, right? Many of us might be feeling afraid, and that's valid. It is a time that is scary. And what I know is that I am almost 4 months pregnant right now. And the thing that makes me courageous is thinking about the kind of world that I'm going to be welcoming my future child into. There was a time when I was in the Army and I spent years struggling to keep putting the uniform on because I knew that I had participated in violence that I believed was wrong in Afghanistan, and that that's something that I could never take back. But connecting to community and learning that there's this incredible legacy of active military people who risked everything, sometimes life, limb, and jail time, to be willing to stand up to do the right thing is the thing that fuels me every single day when I think about what I can do and what's at stake for our communities. And so I hope all of us can carry that legacy with us when we remember Aaron's words at the beginning of this call. Occupation everywhere is wrong, whether that's in Iraq, Palestine, the attacks we're seeing on Venezuela, or our own communities here. We cannot allow these things to be normalized, and this is an opportunity to stand up. Now, there are so many ways that all of us can think about how we can not cooperate with these occupations, not comply. But in order to do that, we have to build trust. And we build trust by being in action together. And that's what this day of action is about. And so I hope that you will share this link. If you haven't signed up already, remember to sign up at vetsayno.org. Connect to the organizations directly that you've heard from tonight. All of us are playing different roles and are moving in such different ways, but it's going to take all of us, all these different tactics, all these different focuses and approaches in order to really win. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to be with us tonight. And we're really looking forward to seeing you in the streets on November 11th, and the many fights ahead to stand up for our communities, to say no cuts, no ICE, no occupation. Good night, everyone.